Hello, everyone. I'm Brett Crosby, Senior Manager at Google Analytics. And first of all, I just want to say welcome, as you can see here. This is going to be our first pilot of the Google Analytics Conversion University Summit. Pardon me?
We're test buddies?
You guys are test pilots, yes. You're going to be our crash test dummies, and we'll see what happens. Hopefully this all goes off without a hitch, and it'll be great. But honestly, we are looking forward to hearing your feedback. So if you have thoughts on ways we can improve this, make it more valuable to you, we definitely want to hear that. And I'm curious, who thinks they may have been the furthest person away to come in today? A lot of people from California. Where are you from? Atlanta? Florida? That's pretty far. New Jersey, there we go. And then New York, I know we have over here. So I'd say all three East Coast people, right? Anyone can beat that? No? All right, so for you guys, I have right off the bat, starting with a prize. So the prize is, of course, you get a signed, autographed copy of our own Avinash Kaushik's new book, Web Analytics, An Hour a Day. And you can have him read an inscription to your family or whatever you'd like. I'm sure he'd be happy to do that for you. Avinash, you want to raise your hand over there? If you don't know who Avinash is, I'm sure everyone does.
Thank you.
But if not, yeah, the famous Avinash. This guy here? Oh, Atlanta also all of a sudden. Now it's coming out. All right. The good news is everyone's going to get a copy of the book today. So sort of you know how that goes. And Avinash, we're happy to happy to sign yours as well, and spend the afternoon with them. But anyway, again, welcome. Again, this is our pilot, so please do give us your feedback as we go. Here we go. So why Conversion University? If you've been to our website, which hopefully, how many people? Free T-shirt if you've been to our website. Yeah. So if you haven't seen, there's my Gmail account. No, I didn't want to point that out. What I did want to point out, upper right-hand corner, Conversion University, and that's where we got this. The Conversion University is the area of our website that's really dedicated to, I don't know, I'm getting a lot of echo, I think. This is where we dedicate the resources to helping people learn, explore, and profit. And that's a lot what this is about today. We want to help kind of bring the level of sophistication, increase the awareness of some of the things that Google Analytics can do. We want to kind of explore some things with you guys and get your feedback, learn things from you guys, and then hopefully all this information is going to be useful and you can profit from it, right? So improve your business in any case. So that's the idea behind this conference, and so hopefully you guys think it's worthwhile. But please do let us know as we go. Let me start with the agenda. As you can see, everything in blue is a break and a chance to kind of mingle and talk to one another. And all the stuff in black is where we're going to try and pack in some halfway decent content. I'm already partway through. I'm the first to go. Avinash will be up next, talking about successful web analytics approaches. Stephanie Shi will be discussing how to use Google Analytics with AdWords and some of the more kind of some of the basic things, but also some of the more sophisticated things that you might not be aware that you can do. It's not an AdWords pitch by any stretch. This is how you use Google Analytics to affect things and really optimize. Alex Ortiz will be talking about some of the more advanced features. So if you're looking for tips on how to do something more advanced, he's the guy to make sure you pay attention to. And then Jeff Gillis will be talking about doing things beyond online, talking about offline, and then other Google Analytics, other Google properties and services you should be aware of that you might not be aware of, like Google Trends and things like that, or sitemaps and stuff like that, so that you can use these tools to improve what you're doing. Let's see. Tom Leung will be here. He's going to be talking about Website Optimizer. If you're not using that, show of hands. Anyone using that? A few people. This is a great tool, also free from Google. Tom will get into it, but I think you guys will benefit a lot from hearing about it. And then you'll get Avinash again, talking about creating a data-driven culture. And after any of these presentations, you're welcome to ask questions. You can interrupt me if you need to, ask me anything. But we also have, we'll all be on a panel at the end. Yes? Question? Okay. And then we will also have, at the very end, we'll have lab time, where if you would, if you've got a burning question or if you've got an issue with your analytics that you can't get resolved, that's the time to do it. And we'll sit down with you, your site or your reports, and a computer, and we'll say, let's get down to business and figure this out. And to me, that's part of the real value of actually being here in person rather than doing this over a webinar or something like that. One housekeeping point. Very crowded in here. Apologies for that. We have folding chairs over here. If people need them as they come in, maybe you can point those people to them if they're kind of standing around. And it looks like everyone's comfortable now. So that's good. We've been doing Google Analytics at Google for less than 2 years, if you can believe it. I don't know. To me, it seems like a heck of a long time. A lot longer than that. But I've been in this industry for a while, about 10 years. And it started for me at Google when a company that I was a co-founder of, Urchin, was acquired by Google. And a few months later, we launched Google Analytics as the first free enterprise-class web analytics product. So we're happy about that. In May 2007, we launched the new version, which hopefully everyone is using. Everyone's using. Can't be using the old one anymore. And then, let's see. In June and July, we've already added additional features on top of it. And I think the point I want to point out there is that we're developing rapidly on this new platform. It took us a while between the two versions. But the new one is a new platform for us that we'll be adding a lot of features on. And then, of course, today, the pilot of Conversion University conferences. And really what this whole thing shows to me is that Google is dedicated to web analytics. We've got a lot of people working on it here. And this is just the beginning. A point of history, before we got into this space, it was relatively small. There weren't a lot of people using web analytics. We estimate the number of accounts that were out there, at least on-demand accounts that we can see. It was fairly expensive. It was kind of fragmented. There were a lot of different tools, not a clear, standard. And a lot of people were using log file analysis without the detailed marketing integration. And there was a big inequity in the market. And you guys might be, some of the bigger accounts saying, inequity is good for me. What are you talking about? Because then I can take advantage of that for my business. That might be true, but we think the better model is to have inequity in just basically who's going to pay the most attention to the data. And the people, kind of like let the best man win, or woman, sorry. And based on if you're using the data to affect your business and drive decisions. And of course, that's what this is about. That's why we're starting to do these conferences, to reach out and to help people do those things. People always ask me why we give Google Analytics away for free. So I thought I'd touch on that. The vision was really to improve the web, and it still is. And our idea is that if you have this data, you're going to create a better web experience for your customers. And that's good for your customers. It's good for people who come to Google and search and find a website. They're going to have a better experience. And then those people are going to reward you by converting more frequently because you're creating content that is more valuable to them. So as an advertiser or a business person, it's something that we see it benefits the entire ecosystem. And we really flipped the traditional model. A lot of people wondered if this was going to work. We think it has. Instead of the expensive model with kind of forced professional services, it's free, and we have a lot of support options available. And I'll get into a couple of what those things are. I'd say one of the key things we were trying to do, and I think we've successfully begun to do, is increase the number of not just companies using web analytics, but also the number of people within these companies using analytics. And we think that's a very positive step. I think Google getting into the space really helped prompt that, but of course it's part of a larger story, right? Originally there was AdWords, and that helps you drive more traffic to your site. Of course, AdWords has expanded in a lot of different areas, no longer just keyword buying on the web. Lots of different ways to advertise through AdWords now. And then Google Analytics came along. It tells you, looks at that whole picture and helps you track the whole thing and do the ROI calculation on all the different ways people are coming to your site. Hopefully, you know what Google Analytics does. And then, of course, we launched Google Website Optimizer. And what this is, in case you're not familiar with it, is another free tool from Google. It's a platform that allows you to do multivariate testing and test different forms of content, different offers to people that are coming to your site. I think this really helps complete that whole kind of business flow, so that you can improve the content once people are there. If you know something's not effective, what do you do about it? Website Optimizer, I think, is a great answer. But of course, once we launched all these things, then we added some features to AdWords, and Website Optimizer came out of beta, and people were wondering, well, what's going on with Google Analytics, right? How come this product is sitting around? Well, what we were doing is we looked at our massive growth, and that happened much more rapidly than we anticipated. If people remember what happened there, I don't want to get into the dirty details. But we saw web analytics really jump from this kind of backwater market that some people cared a lot about, who were doing a lot of web marketing, SEO, SEM, stuff like that. But not that many people in the organization cared that much about it. And the model used to be that there were a few analysts who were looking at this stuff and then kind of reporting out a little bit. But the promise of web analytics was so strong once Google got in and put the word free in Google next to web analytics, and the market really took off. And it did jump from kind of a backroom conversation with like web analytics geeks like myself. We used to have these conferences and things. To a much broader audience. And people throughout the entire organization started saying, hey, I've got a line of business over here that I care about. I want to see this data. I can do more data-driven decision making and make changes to improve my area of the business. Let me have access to this data. And so what happened is these web analytics experts within companies became these report generators. And we heard this from a lot of our customers who were kind of like longtime customers. And so we said, hey, there's a bit of a problem here that we set out to fix with the launch of the new version. So we talk a lot about sophistication and ease of use. A lot of times it sounds like we're trying to dumb things down, when in fact it's really the opposite of what we're trying to do. We're trying to make, the goal of this new version is to increase the level of sophistication for people who are first-time users who aren't web analytics experts by nature, but they can get right in. The data is immediately obvious what to do with it. And then also allow the analysts, the deeper dive guys who've been there for a while doing this stuff, to refocus their efforts on getting into the product. We've added a lot of tools for those guys to do those things. And we've taken out some of the things that don't need to be, that we can automate, like scheduled email reports, for example. So all of these things are about increasing that level of sophistication for the more advanced users, making it easier to use for all users, and then also increasing sophistication for the people who aren't the experts at this. And even for myself, I've been doing this forever. Seems like forever. And this product is a lot easier for me to use. So I think we've made a good effort there, and we're going to continue to do so. I've got a few visualizations I was just going to walk through and show how to back up what I'm saying here. This calendar feature, which most of you have probably seen and hopefully you use, is an example of how we've taken. Everyone used to have calendars in the bottom left-hand side on the navigation. We reworked the entire thing so that it's front and center. It's in your face. We have the date slider, and once you choose to compare something, it compares things. And not only does it show the comparison on the first thing that you're looking at, but it does it throughout the entire reporting interface. Again, we've done things like the customizable dashboards where you can get rid of things that you don't want. If you want to get rid of content, you can grab things and drag it around. Hopefully you guys are already doing this and you have your own dashboard set up. You can set these up for different people in your company, how you want them. So when they log in, they see they're seeing what you want them to see. Any report you can add to your dashboard, and you can also email reports. If you see a piece of data you want to send out, you can say, hey, Bob, check this out. Or you can go ahead and schedule it. And this really breaks that cycle of having the analysts turn into kind of report generators all day long. You can have something going out daily, weekly, monthly, whatever. You can send out PDF files, et cetera. So we think this is a big step forward. This is going to really help spread the word of analytics throughout the organization and get out to the different line of business owners. And then, of course, beyond just being able to send emails, as I mentioned, you can add things to dashboard. You can export things in a variety of formats, including PDF, which is great because a lot of people want to add these reports to PowerPoint presentations or all kinds of other things. And the PDFs are great because they print really well also. So those are just some of the things we've done. I don't want to get into the entire product, so that's all. I just wanted to use that to back up the point about driving sophistication. And I guess what I do want to say is that the product can't do everything. The product can get you so far, and no matter what product you end up using in web analytics, it really comes down to investing the resources in being able to use this data. And so that if you don't hear anything else today, that's what I would say is probably the most important thing that you can do, is take away the idea that we need to be investing in this, and obviously you guys are because you're here and you're involved. I do want to just touch on some of the support models that we have. We have technical support and kind of do-it-yourself educational services for everyone. And if you haven't seen this before, there's our long tail, head, long tail graph. We have channel and professional services partners for people to use. We have a few of them here. I'll mention in a moment. And then in some of the high end, and I know a lot of people here are very large AdWords customers and have a very strong relationship with Google. You may have a dedicated Google account representative. And if you're working with that team, they can do a lot of things to help you. If you want them to look at your reports with you, they can do this. They can go through it and help you figure out what keywords to buy, where you might want to consider, trying, experimenting with if you're doing brand advertising or other things that can help kind of with the media mix model that you're using with Google. But we also, obviously analytics is more than just Google. Maybe you're doing something with Yahoo down the street. Who knows? And so this is where the channel partners really come in handy, right? And that's where these guys can help you, build your website, make changes based on the data, help you do analysis if you need to hire people externally if you don't have the staff in-house. The best thing you can do is hire someone in-house. But beyond that, and even if you do have someone in-house, we've got a lot of these do-it-yourself kind of resources and educational materials. The first one is the Conversion University, which I've mentioned. Also, we've got the Help Center, which hopefully you guys are all aware of. And then we also have a Google Groups forum where people get together and talk about what's going on, if they need help with something, et cetera. And then, of course, we've got this global partner network. And the other thing I would mention about them, the partner network, is that not only are they, it's a global network. We don't set prices. It's a free market for them. So you have a lot of different types of services that they offer. It's also, you can get someone local who accepts your currency in your time zone, speaks your language, which for most people here it's US, but in general that's something that is pretty unique to our program. And so I thought I'd point out a few that are here. We have Caleb over here if you want to talk to some of these guys. Caleb, do you want to wave again? There's Caleb if you want to talk to any of our professional services partners. We've got Tim from ROI Revolution. Tim is over here in the middle. Thanks, Tim. Tim did a webinar here yesterday, live from the Googleplex. Had like 303 people on the webinar. And then Dave Winslow from Epic One might not be here yet. He will be here later today. But this is just an example of some of our partners. And so that's it. I wanted to point out two other things. We're always actively seeking case studies. We're going to talk about a few of these case studies today and customers that we work with. But if you think you have a better story and you want to share it, what we'd like to do is make these even more sophisticated. Talk about what you guys are doing with the data to make changes and improve what you're doing from the marketing side or from the business side all the way around. So please do approach me and let me know if you've got a good story that you'd like to tell or like us to help tell. AdWords helped us do a case study recently with Carolina Rustica. I'm going to attempt to play this, and I will pass this on to Avinash once we do this. Oops.
President and founder of Carolina Rustica, and this is my wife Cheryl and my daughter Claire, and Magoo the parrot. This is our warehouse and call center. I had an overseas position for about 2 years, and it was very exciting. I mean, flying over all different capitals and feeling like you're a hotshot executive. 2 or 3 years into it, I was just kind of sitting there looking out my window, looking at traffic go by, saying this is not going to be my future, and I don't care if what I try to do doesn't work. I just have to try and do it.
I was in medical school at the time, so it was kind of a big deal to take a year off, but he convinced me kind of it was worthwhile and an opportunity we'd never have again.
We were in Nepal and we were at the Tibetan refugee camps looking at the handicrafts there, and thought this would be a great thing to sell in the States. It was really kind of one of those mountaintop moments. I started importing these Tibetan handicrafts directly from the refugee camps. We opened our AdWords account in 2002. It was really just an explosion of our business, growing on average about 50% a year. And as we brought in new suppliers and focused on new keywords that we wanted to manage, we just grew the campaigns.
It's been exciting. It's just happened so quickly, and to go from basically out of our house when it started.
See, the other day I shipped a total of 186 packages in one day. A lot.
We use the entire suite of Google products, both internally and externally. AdWords and Analytics and Google Checkout. Analytics has got a lot of different options, a lot of tools to sort of track each individual visitor to the site and let you manipulate not only your web pages but also your AdWords campaigns and kind of work the two together. Checkout has been a great addition because there was instant credibility with the customers because of the Google name, and it's very easy to use. It's rapidly become the fastest alternative payment method with our customers. Life is too short to spend doing something that you don't like. You need to leave your cell phone home every once in a while.